Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to do a chit chat, get ready with me, about conspiracy theories. I actually found some that I think might be true. What? Conspiracy theories are not always true, but I guess they're not always false. They are just theories that people think up. They have like, not even really facts, but a little bit of like tales and stories that may support it. But I came across a website that said that some of these might be true, and it blew my mind. Because ever since The Simpsons had so many of the things that were happening in their TV show in all seasons coming to real life, it was almost like they were telling the future. I have been like looking up conspiracies because the whole Donald Trump thing on The Simpsons actually happening in real life is insane. And there was another one recently that popped up on the internet that was kind of going viral on Facebook about Captain America. But a lot of moviegoers were kind of debunking this conspiracy theory because it was that in Captain America, when he was at Times Square, there was all of these advertisements behind him, and what they predicted, it was like the advertisements were speaking or putting into existence in the universe about the coronavirus spreading, because they had some advertisements of Corona the beer behind him, and also a virus looking, you know, that little molecule looking cell that a lot of newscasters have been using to talk about the coronavirus and about all the scientists researching it. Well, that was that form of the crown-like coronavirus as a cell was popping up behind him as well. And it was just too odd of a coincidence, you know what I mean? Ooh, let's do the Stay Woke concealer, why not? Just too weird. And like I said, a lot of movie buffs were debunking it because there wasn't actually a Corona ad. But what was really freaky on top of it that I didn't realize until I looked more into this, another ad was in that movie scene that says, "By George, we did it." Like, the George Floyd is what a lot of people were referencing to when they were seeing this. It was pretty freaky, but I think only one of those three ads in the Captain America movie were debunked, because there was the George ad, there was the Corona beer ad, but the virus, like little molecule thing, was actually just like a ring of the top of a dry pasta, spaghetti noodles that spread out to look like that. That made me feel a little bit at peace, but the whole Corona beer and the George, it's just, you wonder what is happening with the media and what we're fed, right? If you're questioning that, good, you should, in my opinion. Now let's get on with these conspiracy theories, because one that really messed me up mentally, because it has to do with my people. Have you heard of the Moonshine project and the horrors of that? It was a conspiracy during the Moonshine project that the government was stealing dead bodies, and it turned out to somewhat be true. Because, let me tell you, friend, in the times of Hiroshima and Nagasaki happening, in the horrific events of that, the US government was actually taking, this is so hard to talk about, the dead bodies of children's limbs without permission to be able to test on them, because they needed fresh dead limb bodies to perform radioactive testing to see how radioactive all the bombings were and everything. And it turns out that they did this so many times without getting permission that they figured out that there was around 1,500 dead bodies that they collected, of not just the whole bodies, but like limbs and parts of young children. 1,500 grieving families didn't even know that this was happening. They were trying to measure the nuclear fallout and how it really affected humans, but it wasn't even discovered that this actually happened until half a century later. And you're like, what else is the government hiding from us if this horrific thing was happening to families? You know what I'm saying? Like, we all saw the Shane Dawson projects of videos where there was hidden cameras being everywhere, and you wonder who is on the other end of those hidden cameras recording us. Is it just regular humans like me and you, Or is it the government? Because I've always thought that the government could tap into the cameras in our iPads, our phones, Android smartphones, our laptops, our desktops. Even what really scares me is those nesting cameras, because I've heard of some people, I'm sure you have too, of getting hacked. Their nesting cameras would get hacked and there would be another stranger on the other side of their nesting camera hacking into it, talking to their children, talking to their family, and it's like, who's really looking at our daily lives around our house with these cameras? And I remember that I always remember when I first heard about the Simpsons actually telling the future from their episodes. The one episode, the very first episode I thought of was the one where the Marge, Homer, and all the family, they got like this smart house with a computer in the walls of the smart house, and it was like this big red button that glared at them throughout the house and could control like when to open the fridge, when to like pet and feed the cats and dogs and stuff like that. And that was the first episode that I remember, because that episode went very terrifying if it ever happened in real life, because the house computer backfired on the Simpsons and it would like locked them in, try to control every aspect of their daily lives. It was very scary. And that's what I think is actually could happen or will happen. Just a theory, conspiracy. Because there's a conspiracy theory that the government is tracking us with highly advanced systems. That they have vast resources, especially to track US citizens. Think about it. There's a lot of things on there, especially like, you know, like apps like Honey, apps that save you money, that you want to attach to your computer and that you have to insert your card info. What really scares me of all of them is Facebook. Because really think about it, Facebook is the one social media app that when you're buying your pizza to be delivered to your house, when you're purchasing items from a third-party website, you could, instead of entering all of your info on where you live and like what your name is, you could check out on some of these websites through Facebook. So it's attaching this third-party website to your Facebook, and you're somehow entering your credit card info, your PayPal info, something to pay for whatever thing you're purchasing. So not only does the place that you're buying on that website have your payment info, but wouldn't Facebook have your info too if you checked in with Facebook instead of making a whole account? That's the whole thing. Instead of creating a whole new account, remembering all these passwords, there's this lazy option that sometimes we choose. I've chosen before too, where you could log in and make an account through Facebook. I know I've done it when I've ordered a pizza. But doesn't that mean that you're giving Facebook permission to access your credit card as well if the company you're buying from has it as too? Which is scary, because now we could apply to vote through Facebook, we could apply for our census through Facebook. I'm scared that Facebook is gonna just know a little bit too much about us. We've all heard about Facebook listening in on us and making ads just for us. If you're talking about, you know, I really want to try one of those meal plan kits that deliver food to your house, and then all of a sudden it will start popping up on Facebook. Facebook is the one website I trust the least, because you don't see when you order your pizza or you order your makeup, there's not an option, instead of making an account, to go through Instagram or Twitter or TikTok. It's always through Facebook. In 2016, government agencies sent almost 50,000 requests of retracting data from people's Facebook accounts. Almost 28,000 were from Google, and almost 10,000 were from Apple. Those iClouds, the Apple, the iPhones. According to the Electronic Frontier Foundation, the EFF, which is really trying to protect our civil liberties in the digital world, This is what the government has been trying to get a hold of. Now, it doesn't totally freak me out and make me stay up till 5 o'clock in the morning thinking about, only because what if the government is doing this on accounts of people that could have posted threats? Like, what if someone posts a threat on Facebook or something that is very sus on Facebook? Then I would think the government, the FBI agents, should have permission to look at, oh, Bob George in the middle of nowhere is suggesting that he might hurt someone. Let's look into his Facebook where he said that. That I understand. So I'm hoping that's why that this is happening. But we really need to worry about what laws, what propositions that everybody's going to start making that protects our private online shenanigans. I shouldn't even say shenanigans. Our internet privacy is very important. That's why I always promote on Twitter, on Instagram, that it's so important to vote. I know that there's a lot of propositions, there's a lot of laws, and they make it very, very complicated. They don't make it easy. There are people out there who's trying to make it so that during the pandemic, we won't have the option to vote from our house a mail-in ballot, which is very unfair for people who are autoimmune, who have really bad immune systems, older people that are in nursing homes, or just should not be out and about standing in a line of hundreds of people to go vote. It's super important. I know it's hard and difficult to sit there and read all these propositions, but it's so important. If you have the time to help say your voice in the future, I know you may not think your vote matters, but I can guarantee you it does. Because there's still more in statistics that the baby boomer older generation is going to vote, have more voting power than we do, because a lot of us don't want to read, or we just don't want to go out and vote. But it's so important. That's just my opinion though. Now let's talk about bad booze and how the government tried to poison us with tainted, poisoned alcohol. Not current. Hold up. So there was a lot of speakeasies at one point in the history and time when we were first like distributing alcohol, and the government didn't want that happening. And it was so, people were so giddy for alcohol that they were mixing it with very bad, dangerous chemicals. This was years prior to the prohibition. But in the year 1926 and 1933, the government pushed people to put more poisonous stuff in alcohol because they thought it would discourage bootleggers, you know, and it was like pure crazy versions of moonshine. Moonshine is so crazy, they are even making TV shows about it. If you get too strong of moonshine, some people black out, feel like they're going blind. It's crazy. But then some moonshine, there's like apple pie flavor, and it should be really regulated. It could be crazy. I'm even talking about current moonshine. I'm not even talking about moonshine from the 1920s and 1930s era that we're talking about now. But that didn't stop bootleggers who were illegally selling alcohol. There were around 10,000 US Americans that died from certain kinds of alcohol poisoning because of this. And that's how speakeasies came about, because there were little hidden like bars. And now it's like a trendy thing that happens still, little speakeasies, but they're like little hidden bars. You really have to know the area and like you have to know people sometimes to find speakeasies. They're just tiny hidden bars that are like mostly for like the hipster generation now. But before, it was very important to our history because it was a way for some people to get their rights and freedoms to drink alcohol. But like I said, the government was promoting it getting more and more poison so that bootleggers would probably stop, but it didn't. Speakeasies honestly sound like something from the Renaissance Fair, like you knock 3 times to go through a hidden door to get drunk. Now, the one conspiracy theory that is very tragic to me and affects me a lot, because I remember this happening, the death of Princess Diana. You know those deaths that really hit home? Like for me, it was Princess Diana and Robin Williams, only because I remember exactly where I was when the announcement of Princess Diana was made, of her being in a fatal car crash and passing away. And Robin Williams only because like he was a part of my childhood. My dad would get Christmas cards from him from working on Mork and Mindy. I can't explain to you what those two really meant to me, those deaths. And, you know, it's not a cat sketch. Makeup until the lip highlights on. But there's a lot of conspiracy theories about Princess Diana. Some people think that she was pregnant and it was an unwanted pregnancy. But the one that really intrigued me, that I could see being true, I feel scared just for even talking about this, but like the whole Epstein thing, there's a lot of mysterious things happening that, especially in Hollywood, especially on higher ups and people of power, of child abuse, sexual stuff happening with children that I feel really uncomfortable talking about because I've suffered from abuse in my past personally since I was a child. And I feel like Princess Diana knew too much. You know, sometimes there's people out there who are so kind and sweet that people really open up to them about a lot of things, which is nice and great and everything. And you want to help people, and people see that innocence of you wanting to help and how nice and sweet you are, and they tell you a lot of stuff that shouldn't be known to the public. And I feel like Princess Diana was one of those people in that situation where a lot of people trusted her. She was a very good person, it seemed like. I didn't know her personally, but I feel like she just knew a lot about what was going on, like information that she shouldn't have known. Or I shouldn't even say she shouldn't have known, that a lot of people probably didn't know about. And I think whatever happened to her was trying to cover up something bigger. There's speaks of that Princess Diana's personal butler has a letter, like a personal secret letter that he has disclosed to himself. It's sad. There's talks that Princess Diana even had concerns about her safety before this happened to her. And it almost seemed like to some people that the paparazzi came to the crash site intentionally way too quick. Like they knew that they should have been there at a certain time. And there's also talks that there was something wrong with the Mercedes that she was driving in, that it may have been tampered with. It was driving at an unusual speed at the time. And I just hope none of this is true, because it would hurt my heart. There's been even talks of that her medical care at the time was sabotaged, that one of her best bodyguards was either killed or missing, I think. Again, I hope none of this is true. One conspiracy theory that really blew my mind was about John Lennon. John Lennon is a huge part of my family because I grew up listening to the Beatles. My mother has every single like Beatles vinyl album, and she even has it so far back to when she was a high school teenager. She drew hearts all over Paul McCartney. She dated my father because she thought my dad looked a little similar to Paul McCartney, and that was like her favorite of the Beatles. I grew up listening to the Beatles and knowing all the song lyrics. So when I heard about this conspiracy theory about John Lennon, that he was being tracked down by the government and being spied on by the government, I was in shock. But when you read into it more, it's not that shocking, because they're just tracking him down to make sure, since he has such a big voice, a lot of these celebrities don't realize how big their voice is. His songs had a lot of, you know, anti-war, peace-giving, like a cultural hero. So they really just wanted to make sure, since he had so much power with his fans, the government wanted to make sure that he wasn't promoting anything that would harm a group of people, which makes sense. But it's just crazy how he got killed by someone. In 1971, the FBI actually went into surveillance on him, and they tried to deport him a year after that. And there's just bizarre coincidence, like when he met up with Paul McCartney at like a party in 1957, it was right next to the grave site, like right next door to the grave site of Eleanor Rigby. Oh my gosh, and there's that whole conspiracy about Paul McCartney is like the real one passed away or something, and this isn't the real Paul McCartney. The one that I really, conspiracy theory that I kind of believe in is the Avril Lavigne one, because some of them, she does look different in some of the pictures. Like there's a conspiracy that there's an old Avril Lavigne and this newer Avril Lavigne, especially because like that whole Hello Kitty era of her doing those types of Hello Kitty songs, it just didn't fit with me. Like I know Avril Lavigne, I grew up listening to her, and just when those songs came out, I was so surprised because it doesn't seem like the Avril Lavigne I grew up with. Like the messaging behind it, the everything. Now, the one conspiracy theory that I also believe in is aliens. I feel like aliens could be real, especially since while we were in this pandemic in the beginning, while we were, you know, at home chilling, NASA, I think, just released that there's a parallel universe, and people just acted like that was nothing. Like, it was just news release. There was nothing, you know, really talked about with it. Like, that blew my mind, and everyone acted so chill about it. And I'm like, what? If there's a parallel universe, alternate universe, there has to be aliens. The only evidence of aliens existing is that there was this certain Atari video game of E.T. that failed so bad that they buried it. They literally buried it. That's creepy. In New Mexico, there's a landfill just full of E.T. Atari video games that they thought failed. Like, that's weird. If something fails, like, fine, but why do you have to bury it? That's creepy, right? That was one of the movies that really terrified me as a kid. It's so traumatizing to even look at that because I don't know why, just like the whole mask thing, they acted like the alien was gonna cause a virus in the town, and then the frogs being dissected and releasing, and it was just weird, you know? If you haven't been able to tell, I'm doing a 90s themed, let me put my choker on, makeup today. It's just what it is. It's happening. We're gonna do smiley faces and stuff. I think that's why I was always super into X-Files growing up, because deep down inside I really want and think that aliens are real. That could just be me. Like, I also want unicorns and fairies to be real. Like, Signs, that movie, that feels real. I'm trying to draw a stew sheet, but it's like super difficult. Like a bright green stew sheet. Do y'all remember stew sheets? One conspiracy theory that really tripped me out was that the government in Canada in the 1960s tried to build a machine, wait for it, that detected gaydar. The Canadian government was so afraid of homosexuality that they really wanted to make sure that, oh, I don't want my son and daughter, child, to be gay. Wait, ma'am, racism is more important than being gay. Why don't you make sure your kid's not racist and as homophobic as you are? In my opinion. But I don't know if my opinion counts because I'm drawing melted smiley faces and stooshies on my face. Yes, in the 1960s, the Canadian government hired a university professor trying to make a machine that detected gay people. Do you know how hard it is to come out of a closet? And you're trying to out these people? Ma'am, sit down. Do you want to know what this gaydar machine did? It posted images of same-sex erotic images to people to see how they would react to it. And they used it to fire over 400 men from civil services, the military, which is crazy because I feel like to men, especially in like the sex industry, it's okay to be a lesbian, but not gay for men. It's just so stupid. You need to look into yourself if your biggest fear is of someone being gay. Why does that matter to you? As long as they're a good person. You know what I mean? This other one really shook me when I first heard it because the Illuminati and the government are connected, is what it said. But what it really meant is if you spelt Illuminati backwards and you typed it in the computer, it would take you to a website led to government issues, is all that meant. So I'm gonna put on some lashes and lipstick and I'll be right back. And just like that, I put some stars scattered across my face, some lashes, Lexi by Dollar Lash Club, and a lip. I hope you guys enjoyed this makeup look in today's video. These conspiracy theories are insane. Let me know down below if you believe any of these or if you have your own conspiracy that you believe in. I would love to know. All the products I used in this video will be listed down below in the description box as always. This was so much fun, such a 90s theme, babe. You guys should go follow me on TikTok because these makeups are on there as well. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today and for watching. Subscribe for more videos like this. I do 2 videos a week every Monday and Friday. There's a lot more great spooky things to come. I cannot wait. Love you, creators, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.